What a thumbnail, Stuart. It's just a guy staring at us.
Indeed.
Hello,
guys.
We keep skipping the timeline. It's been another year and only a day or two. Can't keep it consistent, can we? But why are we doing this, Stuart? Why are we moving around a bit?
Because Picard's coming up, and Hugh plays a big part in Picard. So we're going to look at BORG today.
It does.
First episode with Hugh.
And really, the only primary one with Hugh. I always thought that his second appearance is underwhelming, to say the least. It's like, yeah, there he is. He's sort of there doing stuff.
I don't remember much of. Was it Redemption? Is what it's called?
Descent.
Descent. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember much of that episode anyway.
Because it's not that memorable, is it? Even though it's got lore and stuff, it's not quite. It should be, but it really isn't as much.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But this one certainly shows off better. I just kind of wish they'd, kept on that good train of him in later episodes. So how's your model club yesterday then, Stuart? Because you were not here, but you were here in spirit and commenting because you were still part of the live we did, even though you were many miles away.
It was fine. Same old, same old.
Good.
But still fun to get out of the house and go do something.
Is the Kojima? Is that almost done? The your friend's one?
Gojira?
Yeah, that.
Almost done.
Yeah. Kojima? Is that almost done? The friend's one?
Yeah.
Good.
Gojira?
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh, okay. That's you talking. And yeah, only 1 week exactly till Picard. That is close. They just had the European premiere, which is weird because it seems like, oh yeah, of course, Picard has a premiere. There's an LA one, but LA kind of everything's about movie and TV, so they can just sort of throw some money at it. But to actually have how many TV shows have London premieres in Leicester Square? I mean, none. They're movies, but it was quite, when you think about it, it's like, oh, okay.
Mm.
But Amazon's obviously huge here, and they're sponsoring it, so kind of makes sense. This is their territory, so they would fit the bill, and
yeah,
obviously they got Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart and stuff to be there. So
got to see about getting tickets to one of those premieres sometime. Apparently, you can fill out an application because there's certain people that got them that I'm like, how the hell did you get one? Mm-hmm. Oh, I filled out an application.
Oh yeah, if we tried, I'm sure we could. We just didn't try. And that's fine. Yeah. And in fact, I would rather, because I know that Aaron Harvey and stuff watched the first 3, and can you imagine now being with all that information locked in your brain? I know the next 3 weeks he could spoil everything, but also there's no surprises for a bit. So I would rather see it, one at a time, to have this big discussion with you, because that would just ruin, a month's worth of our content. Can you imagine if I saw what you didn't? You'd be like, oh, I wonder if that's what's gonna happen. I'm like, maybe. Or Hugh dies, or he doesn't die, Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 77 people here. Everybody hit the like button. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well.
Yes, I will share then if you want to tell about them super chats.
Yes, sir. So, guys, while he's sharing, as you guys know, super chats are a great way to help out the channel. They also get your comment out there so people can see it. And I apologize for my voice today, guys. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, so if I sound a little off, that's why. And it's probably why I won't be talking super much in this one. But anyway, so super chats are a great way to help with the channel. You can support us also by doing Patreon or heading over to Trekyards.com, clicking that donate button. That actually, donating that way is actually via PayPal, which you can do during the lives as well. Just let us know in the comments that you sent to PayPal, and we'll read your comment or question from the PayPal email. It's another great way to help us, and all the descriptions for how to do all that is down in the description below. So hopefully you guys check that stuff out, because there's also cool stuff down there like Teesprings, Trekyards merchandise, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So I really want to thank anybody that's checked that stuff out. You can also get Eagle Moss ships and things with a discount using the Trekyards discount code and the link provided below. So lots of great ways to help out the channel. And of course, the best way is Patreon. We have a Patreon link down there. If you want to join and help us on a monthly basis, that's probably one of the best ways to do it, honestly. And it really helps us out. Even $5 a month, even $1 a month, it all adds up, and you won't even notice it. It's less than a cup of coffee. So, but yeah, he said it is a week until the Picard premiere, so 7 days and counting now. We're going to do a few more episodes leading up to Picard next week, and then on Friday, because it comes out on Thursday, on Friday we'll be doing our review. So make sure you tune in for the Friday reviews if you want to find out about Picard. And I've heard a lot of good things, and I've heard a lot of things, but I'm still cautiously optimistic, and I'm really hoping it's going to be great. Saw a little clip today of like a minute, 2 minutes of the one episode, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Actually, it does have to me, it has a TNG vibe and feel. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, and hopefully you guys are as well. So don't worry about the negativity online, or even some of our negativity having seen Children of Mars. I'm sure it's either misleading or just it's not really relevant. So
I'm not trying to learn anything, so all the reveals during. But yeah, so we're at season 5 now. Do you remember watching this one for the first time? Were you at that point?
Yep.
Do you remember thinking what you thought at the time?
I remember thinking they were in trouble, that, why do they have the Borg on board? That's just stupid and dangerous. And yeah, I was really kind of surprised by the ending. And then for him to come back later was pretty awesome, actually. So I didn't expect any of that. But I remember the first time going, guys, just let him die. I kind of had the Picard mindset going into this, or the Guinan that we see. But Star Trek trumped that, and we're better for it. So
subverted our expectations. So what did you think when rewatching it then for this, especially with the foreknowledge of all the future Borgy stuff?
It makes perfect sense. I mean, Picard was an individual. He got assimilated and helped. Even in First Contact, where he's like, just leave them, they can't help them. This was Ensign Lynch. Whatever. He's Borg now. It's kind of short-sighted of him, in my opinion, considering they were all individuals at one point. So you should want to help them, because they are lost. They are brainwashed, essentially. They're still in there if you can get to them. So it seems kind of odd that it's just like destroy the Borg, but I don't know. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. This was one that people had said is amazing. I knew it was good, but some people called out as being like one of the better ones of all. So I kind of, you can never help but someone, these are sort of watching fresh from me. I know all the stories. I know what happens. I know some of the lines, but this was really the first rewatch in 10 years. So I kind of went in with this being an amazing episode, which I don't think I should have. I hope. Well, I can't avoid reading those things. It's just our chat and such. But this one kind of let me down a little bit because I had higher expectations. For whatever.
I never thought this one was a great episode, and it's all right. It's not, the higher echelon as far as I'm concerned. It's good, but.
So this episode, when I would probably do a shorter one because you're ill, and it makes more sense I think to do a short one. And also the story is very simple. I mean, it's not a big story. It's a very, very small story, which is a good thing, really. But this one for me, I got to about 3/4 of my notes and said this is very slow. I think this teeters on the line between good future principle sci-fi slowness and story action moving to tell a story, and I think this is on the too slow side of that by a good 5-10%. It did drag for me. I know it's a good episode, but I think the pace kind of lets it down a little bit. It's good stuff, but it doesn't tell it, I think, efficiently enough. Like, just a bit. And having just come off some really good TNG, you see the difference of you don't even notice it. You want to keep this for me didn't quite have that same. What do you think?
I don't know if I quite felt that. I mean, I was invested the whole time. It didn't feel like any parts really dragged necessarily. Um, I wondered why Picard wasn't in it more, but then that gets wrapped up at the end. He was deliberately keeping himself out of it. Um, but yeah, I didn't get the feeling that the pacing was off.
Okay.
It was still enjoyable, and I was kind of looking at the end, going, oh, like my progress bar on the bottom. It's like, oh, there's still like a third left. This could be wrapped up really quick, but I don't know. I didn't really feel like
Okay.
it was dragging or anything.
Dragging is the wrong word. I think just it never actually entered second gear at any point. It's always a gentle, slow. Do you know? Okay, is that a better way of explaining it? It's not like it's dragged, but it just never gets into gear past the first gear. You know?
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, we got some super chats, so let's get to those and then get into the discussion. SWTX Chaser puts in $5 with no comment, but thank you very much. Much appreciated. Eugene puts in 500 rubles. Oh boy, this one, the most ethically challenging plot decisions in all TNG and even Star Trek. I'm going to respectfully disagree with you there. There's a lot more moral implications in different episodes that are a lot more impactful, I think. But and Tenchi 2K7 puts in $5.
Thank you.
Get well soon, Captain. Also, we are Hugh. Yes, we are.
Or at least we are all Trekyards.
53 likes. What a great collective. Again at 100. Hashtag make Jeff pay. Good call. Good collective. I like that.
Raj says, is it ever mentioned what species Hugh is? Well, we can assume basically humanoid because we see him in Picard and he's just humanoid without any extraneous stuff. So I'm pretty sure he's just, you know, I mean, he could have been assimilated as a. I mean, that's what someone pointed out that, you know, is he a born Borg or is he an assimilated Borg? Because at this point, in TNG, there are just born Borg, replicated Borg. Whereas if he's the later version of Borg, where everyone's assimilated, then he's clearly a human. Maybe internal organs are different, but visually he's human. But I mean, you know, he's young. Was he assimilated just randomly? I maintain that Borg just come into our quadrant all the time before events just to do things. You just never see them because they come in, they destroy something, they leave. You know what I mean? You never, you know. So it could easily be stolen from one of those things. One thing I found in this episode in particular was I kind of found it hard to watch knowing all of the future Borg stuff because it doesn't flow well with those as well. Especially, well, tonally, but it's a different sort of story. But I kept thinking throughout it, as soon as they put him in the cell and Worf's like, lower the force field and there's a phaser and he's letting Geordi do his thing, all I kept thinking was, if this was any other Borg ever, he would walk forward and try to assimilate him with tubules. That'd be the first thing you do.
Yeah.
But they don't. They did assimilate Picard, but I because of how it doesn't even address that fact, I assumed assimilation with nanoprobes wasn't even a thing yet. It felt so disconnected. No one was a remotely feeling of a threat. Even though one Borg, one true drone, even outside the collective, can assimilate everybody in their ship, and they never seemed to feel that risk. It was always about, well, the big Borg ship is going to come blow us up. It was never about the internal threat, and that felt so disingenuous. And again, it's of its time, but the Borg are one thing, and this didn't reflect that, and I felt it was kind of weird. What do you think?
I agree with that. I expected, where's the tubule? You know what I mean? The word, the tubules.
Or at least to mention it, you know? Keep him back, don't let him touch you. Something simple.
Well, they hadn't developed that yet, have they?
But thing is, I don't remember Best of Both Worlds that well, but they did beam aboard and he did go thumph, but that was to take him out. I don't assume that assimilated him. You assume that he's assimilated on the ship, whatever that means. So it's kind of, I don't know if we've got assimilation yet.
That's interesting, yeah.
Like the clinical side.
What's the problem with watching these out of order?
Well, yeah. So I thought that was a bit disconnected. The threat level, because at this point the Borg are more just a race of aliens. It's not the same context as a race of mindless zombies that can make you one of them. There is the assimilation. It's obviously in the episode, but you don't. There's never this visceral what that really means. not in the same way.
Yeah.
Even though Picard was done that to him, but he's also a special case. So yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Let's get into it. So,
Okie dokie.
It opens with an absolutely glorious shot of the Enterprise. I think that's beautifully done.
Obviously, we're out of sequence, so we're like, oh yeah! And everyone's like, yeah, this happens every week. We're like, well, okay, we haven't got there yet. Brilliant. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, very, very nicely lit. But they're charting 6 systems in the Igolus cluster that are being considered for colonization.
Mm-hmm.
And while doing so, they pick up a self-repeating signal within the system itself, coming from a small moon orbiting the 4th planet.
Is it Forest
Moon's
Moon?
atmosphere. Yes, the Forest Moon of Endor. The moon's atmosphere is capable of supporting life. So they scanned and they find one life sign very weak.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide to go down to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
So they send a small party, just 3 people, Riker, Worf, and Beverly.
Quite important 3.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the consensus is, let's get the hell out of here. And Beverly's like, we can't leave him here, he'll die. I think the captain knows that, but the Borg will know we've been here. And then Worf's like, kill it now. Make it appear that it died in the crash.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and after the events of Best of Both Worlds, I can kind of see the point, that's how I was feeling first watching it as well, before knowing any other Borg stuff, because, it was the first time. So I was thinking the same kind of things. So it's a very visceral feeling, like it's something to be terrified of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that Picard's kind of like, he listens to Beverly because he respects Beverly, and it's the right thing to do. But
his face, though, says it all.
Yeah, definitely doesn't want to do that.
Any thoughts on these 2 scenes before I give my thoughts? Things noticed?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of the planet scene. Again, soundstage, and later you see mountains in the background, but it's clearly just a painting. Like, it's not well done.
But the snow, at least the snow is a nice touch. It's not just rock. It's at least got a slightly more unique feel. I kind of give them props for that.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have much else to say about the scene. So,
again, this is kind of a unique way of watching this because we're jumping so far that now the stark contrasts are more stark. So now we're at season 5, and as soon as we get to the start, I say, "Oh, Frakes has put on weight." Like instantly, I'm like, he is bigger because we're on season 2, really. So he is much bigger than, because we know he gets progressively bigger and bigger. Because season 1, he's a thin, tall, thin guy, and then he slowly becomes a bit of a gut guy. Nothing against him, but I just noticed he's put on weight in this season, and that's fine. And also, I thought Patrick looked tired. He has big bags under his eyes, big. I think that might have been part of the idea of having him look more strained in the episode, but it shouldn't have happened yet. But obviously they just did the makeup. They shot in one day. They're not going to, But I thought he looked actually quite a lot older in this episode than the last 2 times we've seen him, which were season 4 and then 3. I just thought that straight off the bat. Now we've skipped a bit. And I could have sworn you couldn't detect Borg life form readings in the one we just saw. I thought that was a bit strange. Just detecting reading.
That's because there's only one left. They're not linked to the collective. They're not in their alcoves. So
yeah.
I think they would have modified their sensors too to be able to pick that up as well. So
this is true. But instantly I thought to Beverly. I know Beverly's lovely, but you know what these things are. Why would you even try and heal it? Because if you try and heal it, what are you going to do? Give it back. So what have you done? Wasted time, energy, and equipment. It seemed weird to me to even suggest healing it, because at this point it's an it. It seemed it should be that for it. Just felt a bit disingenuous to the other. I mean, I know they saved Picard, so they know that you can, but they don't if she had said, "Oh, John Luke, we can save him like we did you." No, it's too dangerous, but we can do it. We can do it better this time. But it seems very simplistic of, it's injured, let's help it, even though it will kill you all. You know what I mean? It seems very... It doesn't quite flow in the scene. And we've just watched the first Borg, and,
Well, especially after having seen First Contact and stuff, what happens if you, are healing its head like you are there, and all of a sudden it becomes conscious, and throws its hands, and injects you in the neck. It's then you're boned.
It's a stupid. I mean, it is a stupid idea. There's nothing that you could, you know. Now, I'm assuming my only way of justifying this is that when you see Picard's face, my assumption is that he thinks I can use it as a weapon. That's the only way I can justify him allowing it to be brought on board. That plan is instantly in his brain of we can use him. Otherwise, why else are they going to heal him?
I never got that impression, actually. I just assumed that he was doing it because of respect for Beverly.
But it risks his ship. I mean, there's not...
Well, the plan develops later, I think, in his brain. I don't think it's an instant, oh, we can use him. I don't know. That's personally the feeling I got. So. But
yeah, I got that feeling too until I watched it. I was like, that's the only way to explain why he would, really. You know, there's this, or at least, you know, we'll experiment on his tech or like something. It just feels so disingenuous just to heal a Borg. They just could have written it a little bit better, that first bit. Because again, we know how, you know, one Borg can destroy a ship. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially it'll adapt to a phaser fire. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway.
But Picard says, set up a detention cell, try to find a way to neutralize the signal, Geordi. Geordi will set up a dampening field around the detention cell so that nothing can get out. And then we see 4 more Borg. None survived. And I got to admit, seeing the brain of the one Borg is pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty good effects, I think.
And Dan23 says, I think the Borg injection tubes were a concept for First Contact. Nope, way before that. But that's okay. And then Troy they beam up, great, fine, and then he basically walks off in a little bit of a grump, and Data gives a look, like, go after him. And I want to say Brent Spiner, I think, acts a little bit less like Data in this episode. It's not, again, having just seen lots of Data, I didn't feel he was channeling Data in this episode. Something was off about his performance.
There's so little Data in it, I didn't even think about it.
Because him going back and looking like this felt, I know he's evolving, I guess. And there's a later bit where his entire dialogue he's not given the Data cadence. It was quite odd. I felt anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she goes in. Oh.
Well, before he goes to the ready room, though, they're going to transport you directly to the cell. Well, I need him in sickbay.
Yeah.
Doctor, we'll bring anything you need from sickbay to you there.
Yes.
Like, don't be stupid. You're lucky he's coming up anyway. But yeah, she goes to the ready room and he's like, I have nothing to talk about.
Well, she's like, do you want to talk about anything? I would have called you if I did.
Yeah. But she pushes and says, you were treated poorly by the Borg, kidnapped, assaulted. You know, you have to deal with sometimes you heal, but you don't really heal from that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Just her doing her job, which is good to see, actually.
Oh, I wish he'd said, yes, I know, Deanna, I was there. It always seems weird when someone tells you back the bad thing that happened. It's like, I know this is for the plot, but I know. I had it, not you. It's like, imagine if someone after Nemesis said, Deanna, no, you were mentally raped by a Riemann. Remember that one time? Remember, raped, yeah? It's like, yeah, I know. Like, you wouldn't say that to her, you know?
But as a counselor, you have to. That's their job.
To push
because
the buttons.
A lot of people,
okay.
Yeah, a lot of people try to push it out of their mind and not think about it or remember it. But they need to face it.
No, I can buy that. I'll give you that. And this scene made me chuckle a little bit because I felt this is one of the little remasters where, so he walks in, there's a still frame, he turns the computer on, still frame of a ship, and then it swaps to a green rotation of the ship, and then back to a different screen. And it's like, he's like, I've got some work to do. What, with your Enterprise D-rotating screensaver? Why is it? Just felt like a random, like, I think they were just trying to show off that we can add digital effect. Oh, okay, well.
That's what I come sit at my desk and look at my screensaver. Oh, I love my ship. Okay, I love that touch, though. And the rotating one comes back later.
Okay.
Before the end of the scene.
Okay.
But it rotates differently. It goes to the back and to the bottom. But
I wonder if that was a bonus added for remaster. Some extra motion, because it's such a subtle thing to add, but it adds a bit of extra life.
I wondered the same thing. I think it might have been.
Do you want me to go check, or keep the mystery?
Keep the mystery.
Okay. And we get the brig set for the first time, for us anyway.
Yeah.
Although, do you think this is just the Battle Bridge remastered? because there is that back section, which was totally in like other few sets. Because at some point though, the Battle Bridge was the movie set, but at some point they stopped doing movie sets in that part of the set, and they built a different set. So do you think they just gave the remains of the set to the TNG guys, and they just kept like having it as a separate piece, or is it just they happen to have this weird side piece?
That's a good question. I think it's probably part of the Battle Bridge. Yeah. I don't know. We do see the brig a few other times later.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool set, actually.
Yeah, I actually really like the simplicity of the brig. I actually really like it.
Yeah. They're talking here about if he removes implants, he'll die. Maybe Geordi can fashion new ones, though, that can... whatever. And then Picard asks, can you alter the pathways to the root command structure? Yeah, so this is the beginning of the talk about the evasive program.
Oh, sorry.
No, and then it's the conference room.
I don't get the sense that Patrick Stewart was that comfortable with these techno lines. They didn't come. I know he's trying to act it, but I think he was trying to remember the lines a little bit more in the scene. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of a weird. I didn't even quite understand all the things. Like he was sort of saying stuff, but neural net pathway stuff. It's not as relatable as other things. And this is obviously a long time before as many computers were around.
Yeah.
But yeah, having Picard in here, it gets very dark very quickly. That's why I'm wondering, since this is like, what, 5 minutes after they're on the planet in real time, maybe 10. You know what I mean?
Enough time for him to get from the bridge down there. Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I mean by I think he might have had something in his brain about I can use him somehow, even to get information. Because like I say, he is instantly on this planet. It's not as if he's like half the episode. Can we do it? Like he's right in there. And I love the notion. I don't think I've heard it before, or I guess probably the Doctor says it vaguely, but the idea that he's been a Borg so long that his brain's got used to the chips and he can't run without them like an addict, which I thought was quite interesting. It's like you can't remove it. It's just who he is now. It's part of him. I thought it was kind of interesting. So once you're Borg too long, you just can't really unborg. You can just superficially unborg.
Yeah. Well, even 7 or 9 had to keep some fur implants, right?
A lot of them, yeah. Enough to create force field, only when a couple of times. Should have made that a regular feature, 7. It would have been very useful.
And Jarzia puts in $5 Canadian.
Thank you.
7's memories and survival instinct happened during this year, so the Borg had assimilation tubules at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, but whether we had seen it on screen or not is a different story, and that's retconning. And again, we've talked about Borgs in different sectors, different ships having more different evolution as needed. Yep. So.
Because I'm looking at the survival instinct is when all of 7 of 9's people get dropped on a planet, but they're obviously wearing the first contact uniform, and their faces are all weird. So if you look at the two side by side, they're not the same race, in terms of design. So yes, you can retcon, but I mean they've always had tubules. That's kind of the point. They just didn't see them. And again, like I say, you did see them in Best of Both Worlds. They just wasn't the same context. Wasn't quite the same context.
Well. And that's the interesting thing about going back and watching TNG. You see the evolution of the Borg, but then Voyager retcons things by saying this happened way back when, but more advanced Borg because Borg have advanced in the course of the show. Yep. But there's the show evolution, and then there's the actual retconning or making it fit. So it's really tricky as far as that goes.
It's like this costume. I'll give them credit. It's a more fleshed out costume than they've done the other Borg, but it straddles the line between cheap looking and costume looking, because it is just a biker's top half with tubes or a fiberglass top with tubes. It's right on that line. I think that it's the headpiece and like the top that really kind of sells it. Like that headpiece is great, but it's so
I love
close.
The eyepiece. How it's magnetically can latch on. That was really cool later.
But it's so close to being that line. Like you could build this, except the top bit, if you were like a cheap 70s sci-fi with $400, slap some tubes. It's just kind of the finesse, the craftsman that goes into it that the team made. But certainly later Borg look better.
Yeah. But now conference room, and they're talking about the root command.
Stuart, what do you think of the captain's new uniform? It's appeared out of nowhere.
Okay. What? Oh, It's fine. It looks good. I like it.
Not like any
Tom
personal
Zero's
experience
48.
that, do you?
Right. Tom Zero's 48 puts in $2 Canadian. The Borg retcon really started with First Contact. I think it started with Voyager.
Yeah, First Contact was like several years into Voyager. I mean, yeah, Voyager used the First Contact suits. They didn't have the full Borg stuff. So I guess so. Because then Voyager must have then, yeah, I suppose they then reused a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie quality stuff now for television production.
Which is great.
So.
I mean, those sets certainly do a big jump, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I like the new captain's uniform. The jacket's very cool.
I don't. It looks like he hasn't finished getting dressed. Just looks sloppy to me.
I like it.
Yeah.
The only reason he has it is because he complained that Kirk had 2 uniforms.
Yep.
So they're like, okay, we'll give you another uniform. But that's more what I would wear as a captain, I think.
I can imagine. It's just the normal one next to it looks so crisp and clean and professional. And you cut to Picard and it's just like, I'm just lounging. So, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway. So what's
the ability done up, yes?
You should know. But that will obviously defeat the purpose, because then it's just the same thing, just in a different fabric.
I know. If he has to like quickly do it up to like, oh, I'm wearing the uniform. Admiral.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not casual Friday on the Enterprise today.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're talking about evasive root command in the biochip system that would act like a virus.
Mm-hmm.
We can infect the hive and disable their neural networks in one fell swoop. You make it sound like it's a disease. Quite right, Doctor. And if all goes well, a terminal one. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, he does jump
Damn.
straight to that, and I like the acting. It's clinical. Is that a good word to say? The way he expresses it, you know?
Yeah. Very dispassionate.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't know if it's passionate's the word. Very.
Well, he's holding it all in. It is. It's like, I'm going to kill these people. Good. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. It's that very that almost a serial killer-ness, because he was pushed that far. You know?
Yeah. And if it works like we think, will be a couple of months before the Borg suffer a total system failure. And then the whole conversation of, we are talking about annihilating an entire race. It's an act of war. Well, they've already declared war on us. They've attacked us every instance that we've run into them. Beverly says you can't just kill civilians indiscriminately. There are no civilians among the Borg, comes the conversation. And yeah, that's an interesting take. Like, it's not like this is the military division of the Borg. There's not a Borg planet with just civilian Borgs farming. All the Borg are pretty much part of that machine, right?
And
so
all equally dangerous.
Yeah,
or equally passive.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's hard, especially at this point. It's hard to wrap your head around the idea, although it isn't in a sense. It's so simple. They are just the Borg. There's nothing else to it. They have like a mandate. They have a single reason, and everyone is none. All of them is you might get some variation in drones to be stronger or not less strong. You know, Klingon Borg augmented is stronger than human Borg augmented, but I mean that's really it. This was quite again funny in retrospect, because they approach it kind of like Q Who. That's the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They kind of still approach it as if it's a race to be negotiated with, even though, again, we know later you can negotiate with it, but that's not the point of it. You can't until special circumstances where, you need to know the Queen personally. And, you know what I mean? Like that is not the average thing. So, no, you can't negotiate with them, especially at this point. And to hear Picard flat out say, there's no special Borg. Nope. I wasn't caressed by a woman Borg in alcove. Nope, never happened. Nope, there's no specials. It's like, ooh. Oh. Because, you wonder, where was that retcon? I like the theory that when Hugh went back and gave the Borg a bit of his individuality, that spawned the Queen. I like that as the theory. That kind of infected. They had to have some central individualness to kind of channel it and help control that. But then obviously they sort of show her in the. But I mean, that might not have been. There might have been a sort of a memory. Hard to say. But it's an interesting conversation.
Retconning. Gotta love it.
But it's an interesting scene. But it feels so strange that it's like, are they even at war? Well, I mean, the war's the wrong word, because if the Borg wanted to destroy you, they would send more than one ship. So they don't want to kill you, otherwise they would have already. So they sort of, you were a thing, they did the thing, they gave up. You know what I mean? It's hard to rationale why they're not killing you at every instinct. You know, they know where Earth is, they can transport there, it's easy, there's no effort. There's no war here. They could kill you if they wanted to. They don't. So.
But again, retconning, this was before transwarp was a thing.
I know.
Because later they talk about the little Borg's cube scout ship warping in. It's going to be there in 31 hours. Like,
wow.
You know.
But even connecting to the previous, like, you can't win against them. You know, there's never any sense that you can win. So it just, I know she's meant to be the positive force, but it's like, but when they don't do this plan, everyone that dies because the Borg is like Beverly's fault, is Picard's fault, like directly because of them. If they'd killed the Borg here and now, yes, all the innocents would have been killed. They're inside the collective, but how many people got assimilated, went through the horror, who would rather just be killed than live through that? I mean, trillions. Billions of trillions are because Beverly didn't want to kill them. I mean, it shouldn't have been shouldn't have been a situation with any discussion. You know, it's too big a scale to ignore. And every time they kill somebody, I mean, who's that guy you said that Picard kills in First Contact?
Oh my God, I forget now.
I said earlier, you were right on the money.
I know.
Hawkins. No.
Oh, Ensign Lynch. Lynch.
See, Lynch's blood is on Beverly's hands because she doesn't, like, I hate these sort of situations because it's like saying, well, our moral compass is clean, so what? Millions of people died. It's like, well, then your compass isn't clean. You know, it doesn't. It's so short-sighted. So short. Trying to be, so short-sighted. It's terrible.
Oh yes. What was I gonna say? Shit. Anyway, yeah. Next scene's down at the in the brig. He's looking for an access terminal, which is interesting. And to this point, yeah, this was quite a standout episode because they had made the Borg this big, interconnected consciousness. Like, you didn't think that they'd be able to separate him. So. Anyway, he doesn't understand that he's been cut off from the collective. He's emitting a homing beacon, which of course is not getting through the dampening field. And then it's decided that he must be hungry. Beverly says he needs energy. And I love Picard. He's like, arrange to feed it. Wow. Because it just says, arrange to feed it. It's just such a impactful line.
Yeah.
And Beverly says, if I didn't know any better, I'd think he was scared.
Yeah.
So, and I get that. He does look scared, and I'm sure he would be cut off, but yeah. Doing his thing.
I just think he would, again, we've seen Borg in the Survival Instinct one where you see them disconnected as I mean, he is younger. I mean, this could all stem partially he can't even return to basic Borg programming. You know what I mean? He's too much individual right from the start, where he can't think inside the program, So maybe he was born into the collective, so therefore there isn't that baseline of living with yourself that he's never had. If he's never had even a moment to himself, he's so confused because he's done that. Whereas those drones that are not like that, they've just been assimilated, they come out of it and it's like, they can still walk, talk, but they're Borg programmed, but they can still walk, talk, think, but think in Borg. This guy can't even think in Borg. He's now like a child. That's not how we see them ever again, pretty much. So he could be, he could be that young, could be born. I mean, would it have been kind of interesting if he was like literally a teenager? Well, that's just Egypt, isn't it, at that point? I mean, that's just those guys. But it's interesting to see how they approach him. Definitely go for the child aspect.
And 120 people watching.
Brilliant.
That's awesome, guys. Make sure you hit the like button. And yeah, if you can super chat, put your 2 cents in, please do so. But yeah, somebody asks in the chat, why doesn't he just assimilate the ship or the tech? Well, because he's in the brig, there's nothing really to assimilate. There's no open access panels until there is, conveniently when they're needed. But anyway, yeah, I thought the same thing watching it the first time even. It's like technology, I think we'd seen them before this, really get into the technology aspect of assimilating that. So I thought the same thing. It's like, why doesn't he just bust a hole in the wall, access an EPS conduit, and start spreading the Borg virus? I
mean, if you want to be very technical, theoretical, he could have touched the force field, adapted to it based on his own touch, and just walked right through it, and then before they could shoot him, get someone to infect him, then he gets shot, and then Geordie's infected, and then they don't have to stop an ion probes yet, and then it escalates.
Well, that's a first contact scene right there. That's exactly what would happen with those Borg, right?
Yeah. But I mean, you are right though. It's a box. There's nothing in the box, and that's why I kind of felt it was really strange in a few scenes where they give him a device. It's like, that is asking for effing trouble. Give him any access to the ship? Holy shit!
Yeah, because that was a panel that Jody put on the wall that looks like it locked into like the power supply, so he could power himself up.
But it's
so yeah, that seems like a stupid idea.
Yeah, it was really like, but I never got the sense of the episode that they can actively assimilate without like capturing you and then putting you on the ship, dicing you up. Like, it's not a one-on-one process at this point. I don't get that sense.
And Ryan says, I argue that since he's cut off from the rest, he's not used to thinking for himself. I totally buy that. I would totally buy that's why he doesn't attempt that kind of thing.
Well, that's why I argue that he's born in, so he hasn't even got the baseline. But you look at Echeb, you look at every other collective guy in Voyager that's disconnected, they can still act. I mean, look at 7 of 9 when she's in the fluidic space. She's disconnected. They all are. They're still serving the active Borg because they have reserve programming. Like, they're still serving. They're not confused. I mean, 7 should be confused. I mean, she was slightly more special, but she was still a baseline, a drone.
Yeah. Next scene is another fencing scene.
Well, the first. Well, the first this episode, I mean. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But he's fencing with Guinan. And they sit down and have a talk, and she's like, I understand we have a guest on board. Is that wise? I understand Picard, but I don't understand this decision.
Yep.
He was injured. Dr. Crusher wanted to help. It's going to come after us. You know that. You, of all people, know that.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is great because it's typical Guinanism.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They start fencing again, and she favors her one leg a little bit, and he's like, are you all right? And she gets him with the fencing foil. She's like, you felt sorry for me. Look what it got you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, fantastic way to get her point across. So, a great scene with Guinan.
And what I love about
more fencing.
Yeah, and more sci-fi fencing too. What I love about this scene is that whereas Whoopi was doing each scene in Q-Who as it came, she wasn't really feeling like the Borg, but in this, she doesn't act like Guinan in this episode, and there's that distinct little bit of difference where she's acting like a distinctly, like, she's still not being active in pursuing an agenda of kill the Borg, stop, like, she's just part of the scenery, but she's not going to take the bullshit. She's very like, I'm against this. This is wrong. Picard, they now know. Like, she knows her own motivation now, and you see it in her face. She's playing off the nice, positive, happy, which I think is really nice. It's fun to see Whoopi kind of be a bit more, And yeah,
we missed a super chat,
yes.
Jersey.
Yes. Thought we did.
Didn't mean to cut you off there, sorry. I just wanted to make sure you can do. Jersey at $5. Totally agree with Samuel. I like Hugh, and I understand drones are victims with no free will, but for every one you can rescue, 1 million more are assimilated. Yeah. I was going back to the discussion of everything's on Beverly's head after this.
I mean, that's the thing. This is very much a story over some logic. Like, we have to get to have him on the ship to have the story. So there's a few little leaps there. What's that? What?
offense, but take some Robitussin if you needed it. I've got cough candies. I've been having cough candies. They're helping, trust me.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I love the fact that they talk. These are the only two people on the ship that understand anything. And there's a scene later on where they're talking again, and I don't know if she's talking to Geordi, and Geordi's like, "Hey, he's really nice. Have you talked to him?" And she's like, "They're gonna kill everyone, Geordi." Nah, but he's special. And I couldn't help but thinking, Geordi, you know they killed all of her race, like to her, he's this young, innocent, stupid child that would get them all killed. Like, there's such a context difference of Geordi. They killed 60 billion of my people, and you're making friends with one of them because he's not a Borg collective. Right? Like, it's so disconnected with the grander. You know what I mean? They kind of ignore the she doesn't quite put that in it. You know, it's like even when you get the first contact Picard where he's yelling. Like, no further. Like, there's reasons for this. There's motivation. He's outburst. It'd been kind of nice to have, like, a guy and, like, the kind of her outburst saying, they will... all of my family... I had a sister. She died. I had a brother. He died. And when I say he died, they're in the collective killing more people. All of my family are killing more people every day because they came for us. Geordi. Yes, you can save one, but that does not justify anything else you're doing in the greater whole, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard because these people have the context that no one else can appreciate, you know?
Yeah. It's actually quite jarring seeing Guinan be like that, like calling it, and, you know, not having any compassion because it's Guinan. Like, she's just wiser than that.
But she knows, you know?
But she comes around, I mean...
Well, I do get the sense, though, in the second bit, that Guinan's race, they experienced the Borg, but they never learned about the Borg. That's the sense I got. Like, they know how basic things work, but they never, like, found a drone, taught it how to think. They never got on board a ship. They never did anything except, we're all dying, run. They got more of us, run. So she knows them in their horror, but I think they're two-dimensional, like the boogeyman to her, is the sense I got with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not like the Elorians have, like, this vast knowledge of the Borg. I don't think that's the case at all.
They were just killed.
They were just victims of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But back in brig, Geordi brings in the device, and Hugh says, "We are Borg. We must return to the collective." Geordi goes in with Worf, which I love. I love that Worf didn't wait outside. Because immediately I was going to call bullshit.
Yeah, and this whole scene's a bit weird. Like, he should do something.
Yeah.
Does that security guy have no rank pips? Because this guy, if you look at the back, he's got a zip in the front and no rank pips. I thought the first season have zips at the back. Why has he got a zip in the front? Or is that his, like, mic pack or something?
It's also got a raised collar. It could have been an experimental one they had tried.
Because that doesn't look like the correct uniform to me for anything.
No, it doesn't.
And it's different to his friends as well, I think. Yeah, it's definitely got a line in it. Yeah, I think that's just a reuse of another costume.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's cool, though.
Weird. But Geordi takes the panel off. Mm-hmm. And again, there's access stuff there. I mean, the Borg should be trying to get into that, but yeah, we must return to the collective. Look around, pal. You're not in a position to make demands. And by the way, who is we? There's only one of you. Do you have a name? Third of 5.
Yep.
Why do you do this? Why do you give me power? I'm just a nice guy at heart. Oh, you will be assimilated. That's gratitude for you.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic scene, actually. The way that Geordi plays it.
I just wish there was more menace, because there isn't any, at all.
None.
And I get he's young, but it comes across like he's completely, if this was Voyager, one Borg in the brig would be like 10 guards, phaser rifles. It wouldn't be like, so you're hungry? Yeah. Okay, you want some food? Yeah. There you go. Let's have a chat. But I was wondering, though, except Locutus, which obviously was a unique case, is he the first Borg to speak? I think so.
And that's the problem with watching them out of order. I don't know.
Because I was thinking that's the payoff. Like they're having a conversation. What does a Borg say? Because Locutus was also very particular, so that's why I find this one quite interesting. Of you know, what's the script when you hear it talk? Because that starts to humanize him. Because he's not just this force. It's capable of vocal. You know, and I appreciate that some of these things do connect with later on, like the 3 of 5 and the Resistance is Futile. All those lines are kept, so that at least is consistent. Although the way he absorbs energy, he's lucky to have a thumb receiver when everyone else ever is just like wireless. So thank God he has a thumb.
Well, that's not a thumb receiver. That's on the other side. I was just going to give credit to the costume because his thumb is actually tucked under, and he's got like a knife here for the thumb, which looks really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they put some work into this costume. There's a lot more subtleties, which I think just looks better because they put more thought into it. But I just find it so odd. It's like a little like, I'm powering up now. It's like cool.
Yeah.
It's a bit janky.
And when you see the other view of the brig, you can tell it was definitely the same set as Measure of a Man and Battle Bridge and stuff. But it looks great.
But I don't like, because they've ripped out a lot of the front of the bridge to be able to put this in. So I don't think this would be an easy convert back to Star Trek Motion Picture Bridge. So I get the feeling at this point they probably have moved away from using this set. Because we know it got water damaged. So I'm wondering if it was damaged so they couldn't use it as a hero set or something. I don't know. And yeah, that security guy, that's definitely a prototype. Because look at how the yellow line is. It's really high up on his chest. Holy shit. And you can see the other two, it's right down to their, past their belly. Him, it's, near his nipples. What's going on?
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. Cool.
Good noted. All right, so now we're in one of the labs. This is where they actually rescued Locutus, essentially.
Yeah.
And they're having a conversation about, well, now that you're feeding it, it's like a rat in a maze.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I need his cooperation. So he can annihilate his entire species.
Yep.
It's like, oh, just chill out, lady.
But she's...
understand her...
Oh, sorry.
I don't understand her problem with it. Her friend, the captain, was assimilated by them. She doesn't understand the menace. She's very opposed to it. And I know there's the Hippocratic Oath where you do no harm, but still. It seems odd.
I think in her case, though, she's seeing it as he was assimilated and I saved him. So from her perspective, it's a 1-of-1 success rate. You know, doesn't prove the point, but it means that she's seeing it as, yeah, I can save them. And if I can save one, can I save them all? It's just a very specific way of looking at the situation. But she does say, I don't like it, but I am here. And she only objects a little bit, it's here and we move on it. So it's not like she dwells on it. She does her job, and I like the professionalism there. And the rat and the maze thing is a really interesting idea. And I don't really buy that in later Borgs, that they would accept being, spoon-fed just enough food to live, to do tests. Because they would just assimilate you first chance they can get. And you know how Seven, the first chance she got, she tried to escape and then get all these things that he has no intention of. It feels so much more basic. But
I think this was the beginning of the dumbing down of the Borg, because they wanted them to be this big baddie, and then they kind of dumbed them down a little bit, made them more relatable. They kind of lost their fear factor and the edge they had. Then First Contact and Voyager kind of ramped that back up a bit, and then Voyager downplayed it again. But
I actually love that.
There's definitely a wave with the Borg as far as their menacing factor.
Well, because the entire point of this episode is to humanize them, right? And doesn't that, by definition, de-frighten them a little bit? Because then you understand them.
Yep.
Because I remember we talked to Anti-Trekker and you were saying the best thing you like about the Borg is that they are single-minded. That was their best, which was their first appearance, basically. Same with him, I think. You agreed on that. And this, once you start seeing them as individual people within a collective, how can they be as scary? Because, can you save them all? What if you can...
You can get to each one of them if you give them enough time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's why you need the now probes. You need the threat of each one to be present. I mean, look how literally that security is with a phaser, which is a long-range weapon, he's in assimilation distance. Like, he's such a shitty officer.
Yeah.
And you know that they can fling you, so if he's punched, he'll get knocked out. I mean, he's the worst security. But I appreciate they always do beam him with security. That's a nice touch. I do appreciate that.
Yes. And Jarzia puts in $2 Canadian. I bet each drone has a micro USB port somewhere. Yes.
Wow.
And a USB 3 port as well.
And a HDMI just like project their thoughts on a projector. Yeah. And guys, 127 people watching, 84 likes, but no one's super chatting. It was really great yesterday, but please do let us know your thoughts, questions, comments. We rely on them to support the channel, and each of these lives we do them partially just for you guys and support the channel. So every 5, every 10, and if you get like 120, that like makes a huge difference in them. So please do if you can.
We want you to be part of the community, so we got a lot of great regulars, and we want you to join the ranks. So super chat and join the conversation.
I'll just check our PayPal just in case. Logging in.
All right.
No. Moving on.
Okay. But yeah, beaming with the security guard is great, and then she says, "What is a doctor?" Well, a doctor heals the sick and repairs the injured. Mm-hmm. And then Geordi says, "I want to make sure your repairs are working properly." To which Hugh says, "You will be assimilated."
Yeah.
Yes, but before that happens, can we ask you a few questions?
I was waiting to see what his response would be, and I was thinking to say, "Yes, okay." But he says a very BORG response, so I was like, "Okay, good, cool."
Yeah.
Good on brand there.
And then, what is your designation? 305. We have names. I'm Beverly. He's Geordi. And you? Hugh? No, that's it. Hugh. You? No, Hugh. We are Hugh. Yeah. That's that quick scene.
It's a little bit forced how they find his name, I'll be honest with you. It's just like, well, we called him Hugh, so let's find a way of calling him Hugh. It was
more clever than I remember.
Oh, right.
And you, like just the way she said, and you, like she's thinking, and he's like, you? And Jordy's like, no, that's good, Hugh. It's like, okay, I don't know where you got Hugh from you, but sure they rhyme, but...
Well, no, it's because the way she said, and who. The way I could hear her say Hugh in her thing, but it's like he could say anything. And so he picks upon the word she said 5 seconds ago that's barely a name. No offense, everyone called Hugh. You know what I mean? I'm sure Hugh means something in the grand scheme. It means like an individual or one. Like I'm sure it means something in like Greek or Latin or something. That's why. They really had to force that in the script. That didn't like. It could have been we'll call you. Like there's other ones. In Stargate Atlantis when they no wraith has a name. So Shepard has to give them names. And that's a fun running joke of basically one syllable names. Bob. I call you Bob. And it's almost a joke name, but it's just like such a base name. So if you said, we'll call you Bob. Hey, Bob. That's a funnier joke than Hugh. So it's not a joke. It means something. I just don't know what.
Well, Area 51 puts in $2 and says, not the smartest guard, but has great hair.
Yeah.
As many people did in the 80s.
Yep.
90s.
Yep. No, I like that.
It's been
and Todd, absolutely. I do like this scene, but this is what I mean about it being a very constant, slow pace. Nothing's raised the state. It's just chilling along, and it's nice. Everyone acts well. Oh, and did you notice? There's almost no music in this episode.
I did not notice that. No.
It's like super very little music compared to a normal episode. I was like quite surprised. So they're focused on 100% performances, 100% atmosphere, but they're not relying on the music, which I kind of liked.
And Joseph Patrick puts in €2. Yeah, Joseph, accept this. Resistance is futile. We will accept your super chats.
We will.
They will be assimilated. They're financially. Oh, never mind.
And also Thribis says, say that to Hi Jackman. So he's trying to make fun of me for saying Hugh's not a real name, but he misspells Hugh. Ha! 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 You messed up yourself.
It's funny.
Yeah. But no, it's good. And I will say, I really appreciate how Mr. Delarco here evolves the performance in every scene. There's a very, very distinct evolution. But I kind of wish it was either two-parter or they gave him more in a later episode, because the start is so slow in his performance evolution that you don't see much of him at the end, and I want to see more of that turn. You know, he was so good at showing that. I wish we could have skipped a little bit to the middle, and then, do you know what I mean? Because he was good, but he doesn't get to do the full thing until near the end. What do you think?
I thought he was great throughout, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. I liked when he could flex his acting muscles beyond just repeating the "you'll be assimilated." I thought that was like one scene too many.
Apparently, Hugh means a male given name from the Germanic word, meaning heart or mind.
See, told you it meant something.
Everything means something.
Because dem writers were clever, even though it goes over 93% of people's heads.
That's right.
That's okay.
So next scene, they're doing spatial 3D, whatever. See the shape, what would it look like inside out.
Cool.
And he gets everyone right. That's 8 out of 8. I'd like it's because of his holographic spatial.
Because he's cheating.
I'd like to take a closer look at your holographic eyepiece. Here, he just takes it off. When you are assimilated, you will have a similar device.
Right.
Well, we don't want to be assimilated. We don't want to live like you do. Yep. Here it is quiet. There are no other voices. Mm-hmm. When you have completed these tests, what will be done with us? Well, we'll send you home to rejoin the collective. So, good scene. And I do appreciate the eyepiece, how it easily comes off. And you can tell, as a model maker, we use magnets all the time to get to areas of the model that you need access to. So we just used magnets it was so well done. Gotta give him props for that.
I was waiting for the cut when he puts it back on and cut. Now it's on, like it's glued, like it's two different pieces. No, it's seamless. And I really love the internal detail, because it's painted red, it looks as if that's like his eye socket is like there's nothing in his eye socket except tech, which they often do remove one eye to have a tech eye, but it kind of,
and it is shaped eye like, you know.
It actually gives me kind of like you know, I visualize too much graphic stuff with that, so that's great art design. I really like that, actually.
I also like the use of the 90s holographic stuff that they have in there, like they have on like credit cards and stuff.
It's so effective though. It's really effective, and this entire scene is really, really good. Although again, it's so strange, even knowing the context. They just stand next to him, like they've now abandoned the restraints, the separation. He's just chilling with them. There's no threat at all, and it really diminishes them. Like you said, I mean, can you imagine if you went from Best of Both Worlds to this episode, or like us, from Family, where they're being like, to, it's friend Borg, no threat at all. Like it doesn't feel quite right. It's all a bit.
No, I agree, but we still have good hair man standing back in the background there.
Yes. Yeah, doing jack shit. No, it's good. And yeah. Well, I kind of wish Geordie had kept the thing and like scanned it, rather than just like, oh yeah, here you go.
Well, he did scan it because he's got his visor, right? But the way he held it up, I could see him like doing his visor thing. So yeah, I thought the same thing.
One thing I'm appreciating while watching this in HD on a big screen TV, because again, I've only watched these really on DVD or VHS on a standard def, so all of the like wrinkles in the face I was losing. LeVar is doing a fucking good job through the visor to emote. He is acting with these lines and this really effectively. Like, I never quite appreciated how much he was giving. You can tell everything he's expressing with not being able to see. It's really impressive.
LeVar Burton has really expressive eyes as an actor, and they took those away from him immediately upon casting him. But he does a fantastic job of working through that. But when you see him without the visor, just his eyes are so expressive. So
also because in our brains we see the lack of, and so it's his eyes like, oh my god, you're human again. They pop. But seriously, like, massive kudos. The more I see of LeVar, and obviously we're getting further into his performance, so he's more refined and more comfortable. He's really impressive as what he's giving to this. Like, really, really.
But it's 10 forward. Oh,
The last thing I thought in this scene was I kind of wish Geordie said at the last thing, I'd love to see that arm. I've always wondered what a BORG arm looks like.
Here you go.
Yeah, I was really hoping that would happen. It's kind of Red Dwarf skin.
How do you make little BORG babies that we saw in the... Oh, wait a minute. Don't hand me that.
That'd be the Orville scene, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, Area 51 says, Trekyards, why isn't Lieutenant Hare looking at them? What's he guarding, the far wall? I thought the same thing. He's just like staring straight ahead. Like, it's not your job as security guard or have your phaser focused on this guy just in case. But he's like, yeah, he's doing guard duty for like the door. No.
But it would kind of be creepy if you just had to, if the extras had to look at them the entire scene, every scene. I kind of get the standoffishness, but yeah, he's not very. It's like I was watching Bad Boys 1 actually, because I watched Bad Boys 3 and I was watching Bad Boys 1 last night, and I was anyway. And there's a scene where they're in this shootout, and even though they all have the guns on, they basically have already got their guns up against Will Smith. He has time to pull out the gun and start shooting before they start shooting, and it's just like, you just watched him do that. You could have murdered him before that. It's like the reaction times aren't quick enough. Like his reaction time would have been too slow to pull out the phaser and look, and Next scene.
Next scene is 10 forward. Jordy's talking to Guinan.
Her hats.
Yes.
In full force.
And he says, when I started this invasive program, I didn't have a problem with it.
Yep.
But the more I work with Hugh... Hugh? You named the BORG?
Yep.
Do you know that you were the second person today to refer to that BORG like it's some sort of lost child?
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I have an issue with programming him to be a walking bomb to go back and destroy the others. Well, when his big brothers come looking for him, they will destroy us. Jordy's like, why don't you go talk to him? It wouldn't be so clear cut then. Because I wouldn't have anything to say. Then why don't you just listen? That's what you're best at, isn't it? It's like, whoa, snap. Because I think Jordy's even kind of shocked at Guinan's attitude. Well, it seems very un-Guinan. She's the wisest one in the room. She's the one you talk to. She understands both sides of a situation, but she's not even thinking about the BORG side in this case.
I don't think he came in for an ally, but you can tell once you start getting an idea in your head, like an earworm, you can't really, So he wants to talk it out with her to decide what he thinks, but he kind of feels already it's wrong. He's working it, but I think already at this point he's thinking, I will try and convince Captain Picard when we reach that moment. I'll keep working because that's my job, but I will try and convince him. And so he's hoping Guinan will side with him and be a force. And yeah, the fact that I kind of felt in this scene he comes in, we see pretty much the entire conversation, and he basically peace outs really quickly because he's not getting what he wants. Is the kind of vibe I get. It's like, oh well, okay, fine. If you're not gonna be on my side, Guinan, I'm gonna.
If anybody on this ship would understand me, I thought it would be you. But you know what? Peace. Bye. I'm done.
So it's a really interesting scene. And yeah, I just like I said, Guinan is this old wise person who's seen her entire race die, and theoretically, if she's in the Delta Quadrant or somewhere other races were getting killed too, she knows the stories. And here is this guy that you would think would be more, what happened with 359? How many ships got killed? And yet he's acting like a young child who doesn't know better, who's innocent. But you know what I mean? So, but also like Beverly, he's locked in the engineering side of it. He is like infatuated by the idea of the tech human, of living in that suit. Of he's romanticizing, the tech with a person rather than what they represent. So he's kind of, but he still acts like a child in comparison to, her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to
back on the bridge.
Pop to the loo, but I'll put it on the next scene with Guinan, and like I said, I'll be listening, so you can talk, and I will jump back in.
Next scene with Guinan. Oh. I'll just do the bridge scene then, because it's pretty short. Vessel and long-range scanner is coming this way. It's a scout ship similar to the one that crashed. It's still cubical in shape, but it's a lot smaller. 31 hours, 7 minutes at present speed. So it is not in a super rush to get there, but it's on its way. So now we're down in the brig, Guinan went to visit him. I love the first word she says. You don't look so tough. I don't know if I don't want to continue too much without Samuel, but aren't you going to tell me that I'll be assimilated? And I love Hugh's reaction here. He's like, you wish to be assimilated? Well, no, but that's what you things do, isn't it? And Hugh says, resistance is not futile. Or no, sorry. He says resistance is futile. Guinan says resistance is not futile. You don't even have a home anymore. And Hugh says, you are lonely? You have no others. We are also lonely. So, again, a great scene, and it brings Guinan around. It makes her realize that they're a lot more alike than they are different. And he is, in fact, an individual. So, for such a short scene, there's a lot packed into that one. And again, it's good to see Guinan kind of come around and be Guinan, because you always want somebody like her around as far as getting advice. So, Area 51 says, why the hell isn't either guard watching the actual prisoner? Yeah, it's a very good question. Because the guy sitting at the station is watching him on a monitor, maybe. 136 people here. Everybody hit that like button. Let's get the likes up to 100 or more. I don't even know what it's at right now. But hit the like button. Let's get those up. Hello. So, yeah, just went through that whole scene.
Yes.
It's a fantastic scene. Because it makes Guinan realize they have much more in common than they do, than differences. Because they're both lonely. And honestly, the best part of it is, aren't you going to tell me that I'll be assimilated? And I love Hugh's reaction. He's so surprised. He's like, you wish to be assimilated? Because he's heard from everybody else that they don't want to be assimilated. So, yeah, it's a good scene.
And the more we talk about this is why I love these sort of reviews, because we really go into depth and really have this big conversation. And this scene, you assume that Guinan knows about the BORG. But as we're discussing, I kind of realise that no, she knows the hive, the ship, the sweeping force of nature. I don't think she's ever even seen a drone. Like, she's ever been face to face with, because if she would have, she'd be assimilated or dead. So this is her seeing, oh, this is what the BORG actually are. She's understanding, and so therefore that's why I think that the turn, which is relatively quick, I think, for her character, is because she is actually seeing what they are when you break them down, and therefore her wise, as I said earlier, her wise brain is now thinking, right. And it's all sort of clicking in a new way, and because she's so enlightened, she makes these new connections very quickly. Because it does feel so abrupt-ish. Just because he's saying a few things.
But yeah, not for Guinan, though, because she's, like I said, she's the most understanding one on the ship.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I think it all comes together. No, it's good.
Anyway, next scene, you got he's scanning Hugh's arm, and again, I love that thumb detail. It's really cool. Jeff Jenkins looks at $2, 103 likes, again at 150. Hashtag don't assimilate me like Spike. Or assimilate the like button. Do it now. So Geordi's scanning him. And Hugh asks, what is Geordi doing? Well, I'm studying the components in your prosthesis. Why? I'm trying to learn about you. Why? And it's like a kid. If any of you have kids, kids are very bad for asking why, but it's their way of learning. So showing that he's very childlike at this point. We assimilate species, then we know everything about them. Is that not easier? Maybe it is. It's just not what we do. You say we, I say I. We are individuals. Are you lonely? Sometimes, but that's why we have friends. Like Jordy and Hugh. Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's a bit of a... It's a bit of a simple, like, we're going to hold your hand through the scene, if that makes sense.
But it's a very Jordy scene. Jordy is this
Yes.
character that this is how he talks to computers and this is how he talks to
I like
data.
that. I like that.
He's got that kind of simplistic approach that really breaks it down, not only for the audience but so yeah, I think it's a really fantastic scene actually.
Yeah.
Because they're establishing this friendship now.
Yes. I think at this point I was expecting there to be a bit more pace to it. Because it's the same scenes again and again, just slowly building. I think this moment I was like, okay, are we going to, but I agree, it is a good scene. All the scenes are great by themselves. I just think put them all together, they weaken themselves a little bit. Or they're missing a something else, or a little twist, or a little something. Something. I don't know what. Like if, I don't want to start extrapolating, but but the payoff with my friend Geordie is a really nice moment, and it's well earned. Although I'll wait till the end. I've got a joke at the end. I'll say.
All right.
Yeah, and the lonely's interesting. I like the lonely comment.
Yes, and Jersey has sent to PayPal if you want to read it. I don't have any.
Okay, if you just jump to the next scene, I will find that.
Yep.
And this is the one I said with Brent. I didn't think he was channeling Brent Data at all. He felt just off. And again, we've just seen lots of Data. Didn't feel like Data in this scene. Wasn't there.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, I think I would agree with you. I didn't really notice it at the time, but
because there's a certain Dataism. Just didn't quite have that.
Yeah. So Picard asked, what's the deal with this shape? Like, this is what you're introducing into the network.
And let me just throw in
the shape cannot exist.
Let me just throw in the PayPal sub before you get into the whole, because it's a good explanation.
Yep.
From Timothy in any $5 Canadian. Thank you. In anyone wanted to be a dick to Picard over him blaming Hugh for his actions as a drone, they could throw the 11,000 staff officers he killed at Wolf 359. With the Borg, the blame falls on the entity as a whole, because nobody chooses to be assimilated. They would never do it to others without being compelled. But sacrificing one innocent life of a disconnected drone and your unethical high ground save trillions is a very fair trade. Okay.
Anyway.
Yes, sorry.
So this shape does not exist. Hugh will scan it. Well, we'll put it into his network. He'll scan it and be unsuccessful, so he's going to store it. It'll then be passed along and essentially corrupt the collective as it gets passed from section to section, because it's an anomaly. They need to figure out what it is. They keep scanning it. Data doesn't say much in this scene, actually. Data leaves, and then Geordi says, I'm having second thoughts about this plan. I've been getting to know the Borg. And then Picard says, back, when we experimented on animals, it would be a problem if the researchers got too close to the animals, and especially if the experiment resulted in them having to be killed. And he says, I would suggest you don't attach yourself from the Borg, Mr. LaForge. So.
This is a good scene, although I don't quite buy this would break the Borg. It's smart, but it seems too simplistic to me. Because I can see the Queen just saying, nah, put it aside. Like, the Borg is smart. It's not just a computer. And I feel like they would have enough overall consciousness as a 50 quadrillion people to just say, this thing is hurting us, let's move it into a side profile and just delete it. Like, I just can't imagine this one thing. Otherwise, they should do this in Voyager. In all the other... If it's this easy, and it took them 1 day to design it, like, the Borg was not the thing that was important here in terms of designing it. That made no effect. They designed this in 1 day. It's a connection to the collective that would be the delivery method. you just, you know what I mean? What do you think?
I disagree. I was going to say it's
Okay.
very much like in the Ultimate Computer,
Right.
or no, which one? Court Marsh. No. Anyway, there's one where they ask the computer to calculate the last number pi. It's an impossible equation, and it keeps it busy. This is the same kind of thing. It's something that probably is within, looks like it can be figured out and rationalized as to what it is. So you're saying the collective consciousness of all these individuals might actually say, "Hey, this is a trap."
I'm saying
They haven't simulated Admiral Akbar, so.
Wow. I just think that they are an advanced enough. Like, you tell me no other race. I'm sure like 500 races have tried something like this. You know what I mean? I would love to have seen them do this and it fail. I can't imagine this would work.
But it's the introduction into the drone that not a lot of people have access to, a specific drone that they can bury this deep into its components, or it's not working, right?
That's why I only say 500, because how many billions of races have been assimilated? Because only with technology, that's the whole point. So I'm sure lots have found this as a mechanism. Lots of, you know, if you start breaking down billions of races, millions of encounters, thousands of battles, hundreds of drones alive in wreckage, dozens of attempts at this, they can't be the first. I don't buy that for a second, given how long the Borg have been around and whatever. I guess narratively, I just think it's not quite smart enough. I had another. Oh yeah, and Colin, since I thought as well, Colin Barrett. How's the Enterprise computer able to display this shape, the shape that's meant to destroy the Borg, if it's an impossibility? How can the Enterprise computer like see it and cope with it?
It's just a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional shape. It's just an image at this point.
But isn't that all it needs to be?
No.
Okay.
No. Because it's a three-dimensional object that cannot exist in space-time. But obviously that's just a 2D representation of what it might look like. So, yeah, it's kind of explained in Data's dialogue a little bit. It's a shape that cannot exist. And the reason they came up with this was because of you can't really connect the points, but his holographic imager, that was great with the 3D shapes. That's I think why they came up with this specifically, because after Geordi scanned it, he figured out that they're good with three-dimensional geometry and stuff, and spatial awareness. So something spatial like this is really going to send them for a loop. So,
yeah. Okay. I get why it's simple. It just feels a little bit too simple. Or I kind of wish it would. If they've done it, they would have done it, and it didn't work. I think that would have been a better payoff. But I think they did the individuality is an infinitely better virus. And it, I think it's fun.
Area 51 puts in $5.
Thank.
Hugh, are you lonely? Geordi, yes, that's what holodecks are for.
Nice.
Because I can't get a real lady to save my life. Because Geordi.
Nice. Another guy unseen.
Oh yes, this is in Picard's quarters.
With the massive V-neck with chest hair. Every captain has a massive V-neck with chest hair. I mean, Stuart, I'm sure your robes are just all the way down. Yep.
They can, but I have no chest hair, so. But Guinan comes and basically says, "You know what? I need to hear you say that you're sure that what we're doing is the right thing." To face, you can't honestly say you've had your doubts. Well, I haven't talked to it. I saw no need. Why not? If you're going to use this person, it's not a person, damn it. It's a Borg. He stands up and yells that. If you're going to use this person to destroy his race, you must look him in the eye once before you do it. Despite the fact that a member of my crew gave it a name, it's not a pet. Again, awesome scene. Guinan has a way of talking to Picard, or anybody, that I really appreciate. She has them make the realizations themselves without really telling them what to think. she leads them to their conclusions instead of telling them what they should do, which is more impactful and works a lot better for people because they realize it, right?
Yeah, yeah. It all is a bit abrupt, this turn. How much Picard? I don't know. It works, but if this, I don't think it would have worked in like Voyager and such. Although I guess you could argue it would work better because it's 7 of 9. I don't know.
Yes, well, the next scene bugged me the first time I saw it because we had, I just had Best of Both Worlds a little while ago and whatever. Picard's back.
Well, how long ago? Let me know. So it's a season and a bit. It's literally a full season. 2 full seasons, because that was the end of the start of season 4. Yeah. This is now the end of season 5, so it's now a year and 3 quarters, to be fair.
But I remember wondering whether they got all the implants out of Picard and whether this was going to come back as a thing. So when this scene happens where he beams Hugh into the ready room and turns around and says, Hugh says, "Oh, Locutus." And then he starts going off on, "This is a primitive culture. I am here to facilitate their entry to the Borg." I was like legit terrified first time watching this way back when, that this was actually still a thing. Because he pushes it. He's like, "Identify yourself. Hugh. We are Hugh. This culture will be assimilated. They do not wish it. Irrelevant. You will assist us. Resistance is futile." And Hugh's like, "Resistance is not futile. Some have escaped." Must Geordi be assimilated? Yes. Well, he would rather die than be assimilated. Then he will die. You are Borg. You will assist us. I will not. And after he says, "What? I will not," then Picard lightens up a little bit and says, "What did you say?" He said "I" instead of "we." "Geordi must not be assimilated, but you are Borg." "No, I am Hugh." And it's a fantastically done scene. Again, like I said, I don't know how old I was specifically when this first came out, but I remember thinking, is he still part of the collective? Like, is this going to start being an ongoing thing? This was terrifying to see. It was actually impactful back then.
And I'm picturing that Patrick is acting exactly how he was as Locutus, just out of makeup. Like, he went right back into the headspace, and so when you watch it, it comes across in a way you've never seen the character be before. Because you always had that layer of separation between the makeup and just him being the character. And I honestly feel like when he says, "I'm Locutus of Borg," I feel like he's because, I mean, to say that, can you imagine to say that in this position? That would hurt you to your core. That would, you know what I mean? That would be, ugh. So imagine he psyched himself up. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if he had like a real drink, like a real, some wine from his vineyard sort of thing. Like, this is going to be a really thing I have to do. And the way he pushes him is very unique. And I think I only watched this scene the first time round, would not have thought they would play it like this. I think no one would have thought this would be how it's going to be played. Literally, like the Locutus and Borg drone scene. This is very unique. And I do kind of wish that they'd gone more into the Borg aspect. Like he said, "Locutus, why have you not assimilated everyone?" There's other questions you could ask. Because he sees him, but he doesn't see that he's not being assimilated. Like, there's slightly odd things here, but it's still a really, really cool scene. And yeah, it's fun to see him be pushed. Although you can imagine that he would know if he thinks it's Locutus and he thinks he's disobeying, then he would know he would be destroyed. So he's basically just committing suicide it's like saying to your boss, "I disagree," and this sort of dictatorship, then he'll just get shot. So it's kind of, sacrificing himself for his beliefs in this scene, in a sense. Yeah. And obviously that's why it's so impressive that he says this, and then because like, shit, okay,
yeah,
shit.
Well, he went from "we are Hugh" to "I am Hugh," or "I will not."
Yep.
And that's when I was like, whoa, what?
Yep.
Jeff Jacobs puts in $2.
Thank you.
Joe407 said, "What this is one of the best scenes in the Trekverse."
It's very memorable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Uh,
Next scene, we get
then,
the conversation of everyone seeing, well, Picard's now on side, and it's amazing how much softer his performance is now. Like, they were like, and back to your normal self is the direction I think he got, because it's an absolute shift. And they're like, well, what do we do? And he's even smiling, and there's little things of, well, he thinks, he feels, he's an individual, can we send him back? Can we not send him back? They'll wipe his memory, we'll wipe his memory.
yeah.
Or what might happen, Stuart, if we send him back? If he wants to go back, that's also brought up. What do they say?
Yeah. Maybe a sense of individuality might be transmitted throughout the entire collective, and kind of start a revolution. But the whole discussion of, well, if we erase his memory, then we've erased all the identity we've given him. But as soon as he gets back with the Borg, they're gonna delete his memory anyway. Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, they eventually decide to perhaps the best program of all is the knowledge of self, they say. But then there's the whole huge spanner gets thrown into the works, but what if he doesn't want to go back? It's like, oh, yeah. And it would have been interesting had he decided that he wanted to stay, but so he goes back in the ready room and says, so you have a choice, essentially. Do you want to stay with us or do you want to return? We're giving you a choice. If I stay, they're going to follow and they're going to hurt Geordi and all my friends. So return me to the crash site. It's the only way. So a little bit of self-sacrifice as well, with individuality.
A lot of it,
yeah. Sanctonius Prime puts in $9.99. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
In a parallel dimension, Sisko is in command during the events of this episode. In my opinion, he would order the release of Hugh with the invasive algorithm to put an end to the Borg. # what would Sisko do? Oh, Sisko would definitely do that.
Yep. Well, especially as his wife got killed by Den Borg. Obviously, that's if he was still the guy we know, because I'm sure the that event Sisko is much nicer. I'm sure that changed him into the more hard-ass character because he lost everything except his son. I think without that he wouldn't have necessarily done it, but because of that. This scene I also think kind of conflicts with later Borg stuff, because I never got the sense that the collective would actively try and save every drone, because each one is such an insignificant part that when he says they will come after me, I'm thinking, dude, no, you're nothing. Like, they'll go to the planet and say, oh, he must have died, the body must have exploded, like must have been destroyed in the crash. Like, they wouldn't think anything of it. They wouldn't say, oh, he's still alive. Like, as long as the transmitter's not going, I don't think for a second they would not stop searching until they find their lost drone. I don't buy that at all. What do you think?
I almost disagree with you a little bit. They'd be able to analyze the crash, the wreckage, and say, okay, well, he would have survived. There's no way he would have been atomized upon impact. But where the hell is he? It would be a missing anomaly, and they would continue, I think, to look.
But it's one
because it's a logical thing to do.
But first of all, we don't actually know what their mission was. We don't know why or how they crashed. So, and I got the sense that ship's kind of damaged a lot. So for all we know, for all they know, the ship might have hit a meteor, and maybe that part of the ship got. That wasn't the whole. We didn't see the entire ship. That was wreckage. That was a lot of it. Whatever happened, a lot of it got destroyed in the atmosphere, or in space, or whatever. So my assumption is they would do the most logical explanation, which is not someone picked the dude up and rescued him, and we're not sending a signal. They would assume that, oh, this other drone must have died in orbit when the crash or whatever happened. Like, something happened to the ship, and he might have vaporized then. I just don't think they would assume that he got rescued, because, a Borg drone would assimilate the ship, would make a beacon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even saying all that, the Borg would essentially know what happened to the ship. They'd access any files they could find. They'd see what happened prior, leading up, so they would know that he wasn't destroyed in the crash necessarily. Whether they'd go assuming that he got abducted, they would have to make that assumption because he wasn't there. But would they make the effort to go out of their way to look for him? Probably not. But it would be in the back of their mind should they ever.
But there's so many minds. I mean, it's such a small thing. How many wars are they fighting right now? You know what I mean? I mean, they're not wars, but how many? You know, it's so small, this event, that it, you know. Well, I mean, by the same logic, when the Renegade Borg go renegade, shouldn't the entire collective be after them because they need their own, and you never get a sense they're like being chased.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's true.
But again, you need a reason for them to go back. I don't buy it. And also, I did consider, although we know from a later episode, I thought they could just make a replicated version of Hugh, like, or his DNA, because I'm sure they could like fake a bit of a corpse, put in the wreckage, and say, "Hey, here's left over a bit of Hugh, or 3 or 5." But I know you can't replicate nanoprobes. They said that. They've tried it, but they are dormant and not actually active. I know that they did that. You have to replicate via their own self-replication. You can't just replicate them. That's the thing. But it's a little bit of it, like I said, not forced ending. It works now, but in the grand scheme of the Borg, it's too. The writers still don't understand it as being a species. They think it was a species with a certain code, but it's not that yet, or it is never that. But I love the self-sacrifice. It's really good of him, who is now a him, and it comes across well. And he almost, says the needs of the one. In effect. But yeah, I can definitely tell Picard is like, damn, son, good for you.
Because we didn't want to keep you anyway, because we have to pay another cast member every week. Same thing happens with Enterprise and Voyager. It's like, they have to be off the ship by the end of the episode, so Anyway, so they go to the transporter room and say goodbye, essentially. Geordi's like, well, I'm going to go down with them, which I think is a stupid idea. They're going to put the ship in the chronosphere of the sun so that the Borg cube doesn't detect the ship. But Geordi decides to go down. Oh, yeah, they're not going to find you a threat. It's fine. I just think that's so stupid.
The thing is, every bit of evidence we have so far is that they won't. But the problem is, this isn't a normal situation.
And they also adapt all the time. So who's to say they haven't changed their mind about that particular procedure?
And so, okay, there's a few levels here. So first of all, crashed Borg ship, they don't know why yet. Lots of dead Borg, they don't know why yet. And one reason why they would think that a ship did nick him, though, they'd probably be able to detect the ion trail and a warp trail of the ship in orbit. So no, a ship was in orbit, but who knows if that destroyed it or not. There's one drone alive who's not reacting, but doesn't mean much. These Borg are assuming more on alert because, again, destroyed thing. And they just have best of both worlds. They know humans are a threat. They recognize the uniform visually. I mean, what a ballsy thing to do this. I mean, with
ballsy is one word, stupid's another.
it's really, it's a hell of a thing.
They show no concern. They show no concern on the bridge. Like, we're in the chronosphere. There's no get ready to beam him out of there should we have an issue or whatever. There's nothing like that. It's just like we're just laying back watching things happen now.
I think one small thing that helps is that they do specifically say it's a small Borg ship about the same size as this. It's just a scout ship. It's not like the cube is. It's just like the threat level isn't as high as it could be. And I kind of wish we'd seen like the cube scout ship later. Cause, although it would have been more confusing then. It's like we have the main cube and the smaller cube. Yeah.
Well, one thing I do want to say though, the shot of the Enterprise heading towards the sun is beautiful.
Yeah.
It would make a fantastic wallpaper. It's well lit. It looks great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they add more stock shots as they go on with the 4-foot miniature, and it does look nice. Although, what are those two blue lit up things at the back? Because it's
the Arboretum.
Really?
It's the ship's Arboretum. Yeah. They're really bright in this scene, but that's where the Arboretum is in the Enterprise D.
Yeah.
They're like skylights, essentially.
Yeah, they're real big. And yeah, Picard's lack of concern is really striking here. He's like, "Oh, you want to? Yeah, all right." It feels really. It doesn't feel. It doesn't really feel appropriate. And again, like you said, the Borg threat goes from like a 15 because we just best of both worlds to like 1. You know, don't even take a phaser, Geordie. I get phaser's a threat, but also phaser can help you survive.
It's back.
Yeah, it's weird. It is weird.
Yeah, but it plays out well. They to take the components off the other Borg. The other Borg disintegrate or whatever they do, and Geordi gives him a little look, or not, Hugh gives Geordi a little look right before they beam out essentially, and Geordi's like, "There's hope, maybe." So that's it. So my recap. A good episode. It is a good episode. It's not one of the best of Star Trek in my opinion, though. The actor playing Hugh did a fantastic job, and I'm glad we're going to see more of him. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, and some good Picard moments. Definitely some good Guinan moments that you did not expect from Guinan. So that was awesome. And yeah, it's a good episode. So for all in TNG, though, I'm going to have to rank it a 7. So yeah, it was good, but it wasn't top tier in my opinion. It's just kind of middle of the road. So I'm going to give it a 7.
And this end scene's also kind of. I still find it so bizarre that they just take like 2 pieces from each Borg.
Yeah, those are the most expensive pieces. They have latinum in them.
It's so half-assed. But I do still like the fact they disintegrate them. It's kind of cool. But we talked about how they would, look for some more people, but they don't even scan the goddamn ship. Like, there's no sense of we're gonna steal a black box or anything. They just like, oh yeah, drones. Oh, that's who's here. Oh, we'll leave now. So I you know what I mean, when you start to go, this is such a routine operation for them in a sense. I almost don't think they're gonna care if there were drones missing. They're like, oh, okay, we've got 480 trillion billion left. It's okay. But yeah, the end look, I think is trying to tell us that when they connect to Hugh, he resets a little bit, but I don't buy that for a second because it's been like 1 second. But that final look is nice. It's kind of heartfelt, and then it ends. Yeah, it is sad. But it's nice they didn't kill him. It's nice they're gonna to have that final moment so we can bring him back. It plays well. And again, sorry, my stomach was a little bit bad. I'll let you talk to chat for a minute. I'll come back. If you want to get scores now, you can get some scores now, and I'll give my review. Sorry, back in a minute.
Yeah. So Brian Cusherson, 5.5 out of 10, and 6 out of 10 for Trek. 3 out of 5 says Thrips. That's funny. 7 out of 10 for the episode, 10 out of 10 for Trekyards, and get well soon, Captain. Thank you, Ozzy. 7 out of 10 means there are 50 better episodes. Come on. 50 better episodes. I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, I was going for a 10, but I admit I made a few mistakes with plot shortcuts. 9 out of 10, certainly the top 10 for TNG. I disagree, my friend. Masterpiece, chills, tears, 10 out of 10 TNG, 10 out of 10 all Trek, sticking to it, sue me. No, it's everybody's entitled to their opinion, Joe. 7 for the episode, 6.5 out of 10 drones, says Ryan. Judge 21 says 8 out of 10. Dark Lord, 9 out of 10. 5 out of 10 from Colin. Too many weak plot motivations. Don't know if I agree with that necessarily. Jarzia says also 8.5 out of 10. 7 out of 10 drones. Says Ryan, and then deletes it. 7.5 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for Steven says a solid 8 out of 10. Aurora uplinks 9 out of 10, and 11,110 out of 10 for the second part. Second part of what? 7.5 for me because I really liked the scene where Picard confronted Hugh. 7 out of 10 says Aurora Uplinks. 6 out of 10 scout ships, says Christopher Rollins. Eugene puts in 500 rubles, says 3 out of 5, joking. 8 out of 10, excellent dialogue. A bit slow episode. The presented choice is insane. Destroy trillions or potentially doom quadrillions, including yourself. Some astronomical sized trolley problems. 7 out of 10 means it's the 70th percentile, so 170 episodes. 70% means there are 51 better. Sure, I'll buy that. I know you don't agree with me, but I really don't care. The math, why would you math me like that? That's just bullshit. I gave it my ranking. That's what it is. Thank you for the stellar chat, says Brian. Thank you, Brian. Nigel Macaulay, 8 out of 10. Yeah, but my brain doesn't think that way, Jeff. I just rank it like I see it. I was going to say 8 out of 10 initially, but and I don't know where Samuel went, so I guess keep feeding me scores, guys. Because I'm eager to get done. The captain's throat has been assimilated by the BORG. 7 out of 10.
And before I give my review, can we get like $10? $10! So I'll throw it in straight away. So 3 interesting comments that I read in the chat while I was one, what about Geordie's visor? That's tech. They didn't go after that. Didn't care about his tech. Good point. And Colin said that. And someone else pointed out that if they are after every drone, then why don't they try and get Locutus back?
They did.
When?
Best of both worlds.
And then went after best of both worlds. Shouldn't they be able to detect his life signs in this? Well, this is behind the sun, but weird. Yeah. So my final thoughts are: I kind of appreciate you don't like this one as much as you could have, because I was kind of like similar position. I thought it was gonna be better than it was. I think. It's a really good episode, but as a filmmaking, it's like the most. I think Gene would like this episode as well. It's a very like Gene Roddenberry moral message, meaning thought-provoking piece, but it sacrifices story for message and smart. It's not a good balance of story, and there should have been one more story element, another thing going on. There just wasn't. And so it's interesting, but it's you know, like you wouldn't show this to somebody as a first TNG episode or first Trek episode. They would be bored. They wouldn't care as much. You know, this is like we've earned it 5 seasons in. We're going to do a really hard hitting sci-fi episode, but I don't think as a story it's as strong as it should have been. But as a moral thing, it's great. The acting's great. The scenes are great. This should have been a movie. Because then you could have the hour and a half to tell more story and have the moral debate at the same time. Or a 2-parter where you have a bit of everything. At the end, maybe they said like, or maybe like the 3 Borg on the planet reactivate and they come attacking and that's a subplot, whatever. I don't know, something. Or maybe there's like, or maybe kind of like one of the Voyager episodes where there's like, whoever the little ship was attacking, that ship, comes out of warp and attacks Enterprise, saying we want the drones, we want to hurt the drones. They try and a separate little subplot. I think this could have done with in a 2-parter. But for me, what was your score again? What was your scores again?
7 out of 10. I was going to say 8 out of 10 initially, but I went down to 7 Maybe I should round it up and say 7.5.
Okay, why 7? And that's for all TNG though. So that was obviously a big quality.
Yeah, it's all TNG.
Because I don't know, my gut says 8, but I want to know why you said 7, so I can kind of like see, do I want to say 7.5? Like, yeah, why not 8? Why did you go for 7? Do you think?
Well, Beverly's character kind of fell by the wayside during this. She started out strong and then kind of went nowhere. Data, like you said, he was barely in it. Not that's a big deal. Riker, you think, would have had more concerns as well. Like it was underplayed as a character piece, not a character piece, like a ensemble piece. It was very much underplayed. Even Worf.
Yeah, actually,
he was in there with Geordi, but it felt like it should have been grander, like you say. It should have been a movie and have everybody involved. Yeah. It just felt very kind of piecemeal-y. I don't know. It didn't come together. Yeah, it didn't come together for me as anything more than an 8. It's a 7.5 for me.
Oh, I actually love that point. No, that's great. I mean, there's obviously only so much story. They gave all of the focus on Hugh and Geordi. And then, they gave 80% on them, 20% on Guinan and Picard. So it's nice to see dynamics you don't often see. That's where this kind of like, oh, cool. Geordi gets a lot of dialogue. Awesome. He excels. But yeah, Worf should be like, sir, I disagree. Sir, as security officer, sir, let me post. He should have had a really loud voice. Riker should have been, yeah, no, I agree. Beverly, is the payoff to her, I don't like this, that her argument wins in the end? Because she never says anything about it at the end. You'd think she'd be involved and say something, but there's no payoff to that, direct payoff.
Yeah, I don't know. See, her character started off strong, like making a point, like, yes, we got to save his life. Yeah. We don't want to destroy his race. And then by the end of the episode, she's like, where's Beverly?
There's no
sure, she was in the transporter. Yeah, she was in the transporter room at the end, but yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. I will go down to 7.5. I think that's absolutely fair. It could have been better. But it's a very Star Trek story.
Yeah.
So good job for them for being able to do this one.
And it's not like the other crew had something to do. They were just all essentially sitting there. So I just think they should have played a bigger part. Yeah. It's not like they were off on a side mission or a B story or whatever, or something else going on. So that's kind of what's sticking in my craw.
Do you guys agree? Do you guys not? Let us know. We're at the end now. 7.5. We're not giving scores per the season, because we're definitely not near season 5. And I'll just say, final super chat would be great. Who wants to be? If we can get a 5, that'd be superb. As you guys know, I'm not around tomorrow. Stuart might do something. Who on earth knows? Saturday.
I'll probably be doing a Captain's Collection live super chat at the regular time, so you guys can all join, because usually I do it on the weekend or at a different time. So that's what I think I'll probably do.
Sweet. And then Saturday, you'll obviously have your regular Trekyards episode, as always. Sunday, my aim is to come back and do the wall, actually put it all together live with you guys. I'm coming back from London a bit earlier because of that. I'll be tired, but I'll aim to... It's the only... Because we're doing filming Monday, as you know, Stuart, so there is no other time to do it and be live. So I'm going to do it on Sunday night, 10 or 11 GMT. It's quite late, but it shouldn't take... I'm not going to be on for like 3 hours. I'll have them all printed out, so it won't take a billion years, hopefully. And then that will be our last chance to sponsorship for this wall. I've been rendering more today. I think I've got... Well, let's see how many actual JPEGs I've got. So this is how many views I have after 2 lives. And lots of people's wonderful support. And this doesn't include a few stow ships, because a lot of people want to stow ships. 135 pictures already rendered, ready to go.
Wow.
That doesn't include a few things, as it's a long list. But I've got, it's really fun to see the collection. I've got like Relativity, Warship Voyager, Saber Class, Millennium Falcon.
By the way,
yes.
Look over there.
Ah, cool.
Those are remnants from the old wall now up on my wall. That's the Enterprise, that's the Excelsior, or the Ambassador class, the refit, and the Premonition.
Yep.
But that you'll learn about that tomorrow, guys, if you join me for my Captain's Collection Super Chat show and tell.
I dig it. I dig it. Awesome. So yeah, guys, come on. Last super chat that we can go. Will be fun. Will be nice. $5. There we go. Yeah, lovely set of stuff here that will go on the wall. I mean, this will be a much more diverse wall. A lot of really cool alien races, a lot of cool colours. And ironically, very few of the ships from last year's or last generation wall. If you consider how many random ships, how many shuttles, most of them aren't on this wall. They're all like different ships. Obviously there's a lot of samesies, but you know, a lot of really unique ones that just aren't. And a lot of alien ones you guys wanted, or other sci-fi, like the Orville's going to be on it. And
I love that there's more than just Star Trek on it.
Yeah, a lot more than Babylon 5 and Battlestar Andromeda. Some really nice things. Like the Shadow Vessel, which is such a weird one. And everyone wanted the Explorer from Babylon 5, but it's just like a big bit of piping with some stuff on it. It's really like, as soon as I loaded it, I was like, wow. Is that what I was excited about? Okay, fair enough. Weird. And then next week, guys, we'll work out what Lives are doing. I think we're doing like some episodes. Probably Descent Part 1 and 2. Although I might be tempted to do a less detailed review of Descent Part 1 and 2, so we can still do a full episode when we get there, because that will be different. So aim to do like just 2 hours. Don't go scene by scene. Go for like, because 2 hours is a lot to go through. Just watch it, pick some scenes, do some scenes, just do 2 hours so that we can do a full in-depth one later. Because that 2 parts are a big deal. If that sounds good.
Except that one, because it's very not memorable.
Well, you might remember after this time, Stuart. You never know. Why did you skip Best of Both Worlds? Because it's one of the most famous treks of all time, and I'd rather wait until we have more of an audience after Picard to then go back and do that one and get more people, because we can only do these ones once, and we really like what we do. So, yeah. And there's no build-up either, so that's important too.
Anyway, guys, my throat's killing me, so we're gonna go.
Okay, have a great evening, everyone, and see you all next time. Until then, bye, guys.